Hey, this is Anthony Pirelli, and this is a Billion Bet podcast. We got Grady Reynolds with us out from Utah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. So, would you like to get started and introduce yourself?
Yeah, great. So my name's Grady Reynolds. I met Anthony at the event that Ryan Robbins threw in New Jersey, and then you came down for a red suit and got to hang out with you again, and that was awesome, man. So greatly appreciate you having me on. And so a little bit about myself. I just moved to Utah a year ago, exactly this month. So it marks 1 year here in this house, and it's been everything that I imagined, and then some. So I'm so happy to be here in Utah. I moved from Florida. Prior to that, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. Been in the oil and gas industry pretty much since I graduated college in 2011. So it's been a great experience.
Wow. And now you've started something called Cash Cabin, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that's what the ultimate goal for this place is. We wanted to move in and get things settled up, get things settled here at the house. And um, but the ultimate goal is to make this a mini mastermind destination, so we can host coaching groups. I feel like the in-person events and getting people together is the most important thing that we do. And so I know logistically it's a challenge for whoever's planning those events. So I wanted to make a turnkey spot so people can just say, hey, I want to do an event. They pick a date, and then we've got the rest covered. So that's the ultimate goal of what Cache Cabin is. It's in the Cache National Forest in Utah, about an hour from Salt Lake City Airport. So it's nice and convenient spot to get away and get out of cell service.
Why did you guys choose the Salt Lake City area?
I don't really know. I had a calling to come to Utah, and I didn't know exactly what that meant. But I wanted to follow through with it, and so started looking online prior to even coming to Utah, and then actually came to Lions Den Live 2022, and that's where I met Red Suit. And leaving that event, I went back home to Texas and just realized that Utah's where I wanted to be. So um, ended up calling Red Suit out of the blue. I was driving to the rig. I was in San Angelo and was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I just called him up, and he was the one that pointed me into the area that I'm in. Honestly, he has spent a lot of time up here, and he heard where I was interested in, and he gave me some great advice.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. It sounds like you're super happy with the place you're at now.
I love it.
And I've seen photos. It's beautiful up there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And how did you originally get involved in the oil and gas industry?
It was by accident. I had a couple of my best friends were in the industry, and I watched how their lifestyle that they had to live was a lot of time away from home, but they got paid really well, and it kind of worked with where I was at in life at the time. I was single and just graduated from college, and the industry was taking off, and especially in South Texas where I was kind of just centrally located. It was really convenient to work in South Texas, and I fell in love with it. It was a complete accident. I had intended on going into real estate early on, like right out of college, and ended up falling in love with the job and everything that it entailed. There's a lot of autonomy that comes with what we do out in the field, and so you basically get to do your job without a lot of interference, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, most definitely. That sounds like it. And you're outside a little bit. You're not locked up in an office 24 hours a day.
Exactly. You're working with your hands. That's important for me. I'm sure the same for you.
Yeah, most definitely. It's nice to get out. It's not monotonous. It's something new every day.
Right, right. And then the challenge of everything being similar, but everything being completely different, which I think you can understand as well, working on small engines. That the theory behind them all is the same, but taking them apart is completely different.
Exactly. Like just depending on the manufacturer, there's small differences that makes a huge difference sometimes.
Makes a huge difference. Yeah, so it's something very similar.
most definitely. And are all of the rigs in southern Texas that you've worked on, or have you been in other states as well?
Absolutely. Great question. I've been all over the United States. It tends to be in the central corridor. Basically, the oil reserves in the United States, bulk of them follow that Colorado mountain range. So a lot of the oil settles on the west or the east side of the mountain range. So if you think about it like that, I've been North Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana.
Wow. And do they drill all year round?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's that can get cold in North Dakota.
It can. Have you spent much time up there?
I've never been there personally, but one day I'd like to go.
You should. It's really pretty. Roosevelt National Park is probably one of my favorite national parks that I've ever been to. So highly recommend it.
Is that close to Mount Rushmore?
It is close. We actually drove from uh what is it? I forget the little town, but basically where Roosevelt National Park is to Mount Rushmore. I think it was like 8 hours or something.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not too bad.
I'll have to check that out sometime. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then after the event, I know we were talking a lot. You had a fourplex, I believe, that was you were flipping.
We were just wrapping that up. So we were about ready to stage. Red Suit's gonna be our one of our listing agents. We're gonna co-list it, try to get as much exposure as possible. Uh, there's a couple of guys that are partners with me on it, and they're awesome. So it's been one of those projects that anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So we utilize the full term of our hard money loan basically to get it accomplished, but we're on the backside of getting it done. Scott's wife is about to stage it for us, so we're really looking forward to see how it looks after it's been staged.
That's great. I'm sure it'll come out awesome.
Yeah, we've had a lot of help on it. Scott and everybody that's been involved has been amazing. So
It's in a great location too.
it is. It's right downtown Ogden. It's like right next to the temple. So we think someone's going to try to scoop it up pretty quick.
That'd be great. Are you guys looking to try and get an investor in there?
Uh, yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Yes, sir. Have I think we're gonna try to fill it with some tenants. Um, and that way will have like one room, one side stage, one side with a tenant, and then the back house will have a tenant, and then try to target the investor for a disposition on it.
Nice. And then after you guys sell that, are you looking to team up with some people and get some more real estate going?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's gonna be the goal. Try to partner up with someone from Red Suits team and try to help some, there's quite a few people who want to get into the real estate game that are, either on the edge or they're a little nervous because they don't know what to do. And so the goal for the next project is going to be to grab one of them, say, come on, let's do a project.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you're trying to get new people in the space.
I think it's important.
Definitely. It is. And having more people, helping more people out, they'll help you out eventually. Even if they don't, more people know your name. It's still a positive all around.
Absolutely. Have you been dabbling at all up there?
In real estate? No, sir, not yet.
Not yet. Focusing on
What was that?
just trying to stay focused on your core business and
Yeah, the repair business has been busy. I did a few this morning actually, and then I was calling you when I was finishing them up because I saw there was a time zone discrepancy. But other than that, yeah, the trailer's sitting outside right now.
awesome. It looks good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been busy, and then just getting the podcast up and going now.
So this is episode number 2.
Yes, this is 3.
This is 3. Awesome.
Yeah, and then I have another person coming on later today. One of my buddies from high school, actually.
Oh, cool.
So it's been fun.
I love it.
To get back to you, so how many acres is Cash Cabin on?
Cash Cabin is on 7.5 acres.
And how much wildlife, natural forest are you guys surrounded by?
So we have over 20,000 acres all around us. Like this morning or yesterday morning, we had a moose and a calf up on top of our driveway. This it was pretty cool waking up and seeing a giant moose right outside your door is intimidating and really cool at the same time.
Have you guys ever had encounters with any bears?
No bears yet.
Okay.
I'm worried about bears and cougars are
Oh, cougars, really?
yeah, some mountain lions, cougars, all whatever you want to call them. We are in their world. So
Will those break in?
I don't know. There's been a steep decline in the population around here lately over the last like 10 years or so. So I mean it's a good and bad thing.
Yeah.
I think the population has really pushed them out as well. And then there's also a guy that lives in our neighborhood that is a big cat hunter. So that's where I'm getting all of my information from. And he's saying he's having to go further and further to find them.
That's crazy. You're really living with the wildlife out there.
Yeah, it's awesome. So the property cross corners. So if you go to the very bottom corner of the property, you walk off into the national forest. So we're on the edge of it.
And are those like accessible trails or like hunting that you can do in there?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And does that require like special tags if you were going to try and get like a bear or a buck or something like that?
Yep. Yes, sir. So it does. You just apply in the Utah Department of Wildlife, like everybody else. There are resident and non-resident tags available in Utah. It's a lot easier to get a resident tag than it is a non-resident.
Makes sense. That's pretty cool though. Huh. And have you personally done any hunting on the land yet?
I haven't. I actually opted this year to not hunt this area. We got hit really hard this winter. We had almost 700 inches of snow here at the house, and it was really hard on the wildlife. We lost a huge population this year. Um, this spring, when things started thawing out, started driving around, and we found a lot of carcasses underneath the snow. So we know that it was hard. I mean, there's no access to food for a lot of them, and the state was actually subsidizing food for the wildlife. So you could go pick up. They had drop off points, and you could go pick up food and feed, which is something that they usually don't do.
That's crazy. I never have heard of that before.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly getting 700 inches of snow this year. Was record breaking for Utah. Um, So it was my first winter too in the snow. I've always kind of maintained life in the South where if it did snow, it thawed out, either that day or the next day. So I've never actually shoveled snow until this winter, and we got all the snow you could shovel.
That's a wake up call for sure. How long were you gone at the rig before like coming home, and how tall was the snow when you got back?
It was bad. So I go 2 weeks at a time. So I do right now I do 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, but last winter it was 2 and 2. So I would be gone for 2 to 4 weeks at a time, depending on if I did 2 shifts or what. Um, and then by January it was inaccessible by vehicle. We were snowmobiling in and out of the house, and we had close to 5 feet at that point, pretty much across the board.
And was your front porch completely snowed in?
It was, yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Johnson snowshoeing at one point. It
That's insane.
it
Wow.
was, thank God I was in a state that it was all new and exciting, and, it was an adventure. And so I enjoyed it. I can't say my girlfriend enjoyed it as much as I did, but we had fun, and it was definitely a roller coaster of emotions, of highs and lows, and you feel like you finally get ahead of the snow, and you get to a spot where you feel like you can maintain it, and then Mother Nature told you otherwise.
Yeah, it sounds like a an uphill battle to say the least. And how far is the snowmobile ride from like the road to your house?
1.6 miles. So it's on a snowmobile, it's not too bad, but still, when you're snowshoeing and carrying a load, and it's uphill. So, well, it's actually up and downhill. So you kind of have to go up and over a ridge to get to the house. So there's some elevation change in there as well.
It's uphill both ways.
Uphill both ways, right? Our old parents, yeah, walk home in the snow uphill both ways.
Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. And I heard that you guys just had a meeting out at your cabin for Chase Hoskins.
That's right. Yeah. So Chase's group is called the Conscious Warriors, and we had an awesome time. There was an amazing show of people out here. I think we had close to 25 guys come out. We got to shoot skeet right off of the back porch of the house with an awesome view, and it was a great time. And then a gentleman by the name of Bruce put together a 3-gun competition. Have you ever shot 3-gun before?
No, what is three gun?
So 3-gun was a ton of fun. So we had a started with a rifle, and then you moved over to a shotgun, and then you shot a pistol. And so there were 10 shots with the rifle, 8 shots with a shotgun, and then 10 shots with a pistol. And it was all timed and scored. So the winner won a Taurus pistol, but I think we all won because it was just a ton of fun. It went really smooth, um, especially for the first event out here. We didn't quite know how things were going to roll, and there's a lot of logistics when you're firing guns and moving people back and forth. And all in all, it was awesome. It's such a great group of guys.
That's cool. Glad to hear you guys had a great time out there.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Conscious Warriors is a great group too. It's about a lot of the same things that we talk about in a lot of other groups of like personal excellence and getting better, but it's also got an aspect of getting men prepared for life, as well as having food storage and being prepared for any natural catastrophe or disaster or anything along those lines, in case a food supply drops off, or just a bunch of guys that want to get together and teach each other and get better.
And you guys attend these meetings monthly or weekly?
We do in person every 2 to 3 weeks. So sometimes it's twice a month, sometimes it's just once a month. But we try to get together every 2 to 3 weeks, excuse me, and then we have a call that is weekly.
That's nice. And are you looking to have people come back to your place for his group again?
Yeah, we are already talking about doing it again. It was a ton of fun. I think we're gonna try to plan it for like a full day, because it just seems like 3 hours wasn't enough.
Okay, that would be awesome. Hey, you got to get people in the back of the Polaris.
I know. Yeah, we were using that to shuttle people back and forth. It was fun.
That's super cool. And in regards to flipping, are you trying to get into like more single family flips or buying holds with your next property? What are you kind of looking to do?
I think both of those are on the table. It always depends on the holds. It really just depends on how expensive your entry is, and if you can sustain that in your cash flow for doing your next flip. So if the entry fee is relatively inexpensive, then I would love to continue to add to the hold portfolio. But at the moment, I think I want to try to focus on Utah, and Utah is really good for flips.
Okay.
It's a little more expensive to hold in Utah. Just there's not a lot of inventory here, so that the price points tend to be pretty high, and the rents aren't always matching where your entry price points are. So, but again, I'm always open.
And in Texas, where your like work is, would you ever think about maybe trying to get a rental down there or do like an Airbnb type deal?
Absolutely. I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think Texas is more my hold state, and Utah would be more of like where we do our flips, and or you're not holding on to the property for long periods of time.
Yeah, definitely. I can see Texas is probably a little bit more friendly with the landlords too.
Yeah, Texas is really, really quick on that aspect of things. They don't like to mess around. So
Yeah.
yeah, it tends to be. Texas is the hold state.
Yeah, Illinois is not the most landlord friendly to say the least.
I can imagine.
I think you could stay for quite a few months to say the least.
Really. What part of it? You're outside of Chicago?
Yeah, I'm just in the suburbs. It's about 45 minutes west. It's called Naperville.
Okay.
So it's not too far. If you ever fly into O'Hare, you got to come out for the day.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Definitely. But you ever think about doing a small engine repair gig out there?
I don't I don't have the dexterity and the patience to handle small engines. I've messed with them and I think I do more damage than I do good.
How's your three-wheeler running?
I haven't even messed with it, honestly.
No.
I've been preoccupied with other more important things. Just keeping honestly getting the house up and running has been the biggest priority. I've got a little podcast spot that we're building out. So hopefully here in the next week I'll have my equipment in and be ready to film our first podcast. So that's that's a big goal for here. And then just opening it up to some of the coaching groups here in Utah, I think is the next step. And just doing some day events up here would be pretty important before winter comes. And then we'll see how the winter goes. Honestly, I think we are expecting a pretty wet winter again. Um, so I don't know how well I'm going to be able to maintain the road this winter, especially being gone a lot. So I'm going to try to pick up a skid steer with a snow blower on the front of it, and that way I can have some heavier equipment to help me manage.
That would probably be much more effective,
Hmm.
especially if it's hydraulic driven.
It will be. So I think it would be advantageous for us and where we're at. And um, my girlfriend's going to try to maintain some of the road this winter. So I want to set her up for success and have some decent equipment that operates and has a temperature controlled cab and, all the luxuries.
Got to make sure she's got heat.
That's it. That's where the Polaris came from, was I wanted to make sure that I could get her from the mailbox to the house in a temperature controlled environment.
And for your podcast you're starting up, are you going to have it with a backdrop of the mountains?
I thought about that, but lighting is really difficult in that situation. So I, as cool as I would like that to be the backdrop, I don't know if it's a sustainable backdrop for video.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you could probably make it work if you did it by like maybe around like evening. Because I know Ryan Robbins does his in his backyard.
He does. That's a good point.
And you can kind of hear the fire crackling in his, which I think is a cool effect, honestly.
That's awesome. Have you been on you have not been on his yet, have you?
No, I haven't. Not yet. Maybe one
Sure
day.
you will.
That would be cool. But we'll see. In regards to the skid steer, are you looking to get like a Case, John Deere? Do you have any brand you're set on?
I like Kubotas. The Kubota has the front door that slides up and over your head. So when you're in operation, it's either out of the way or it's in front of you in a controlled environment, where the other ones have swing doors. So you can't operate it with the door open.
Wow, I never knew that.
So and the rest of them, Caterpillar or Kubota are the two that I would really look at, the main heavy equipment operators. But at this point, I'm open to. They're hard to find.
Yeah. You get a diesel one?
Yes, sir.
And you trying to get like a brand new one or find one on Facebook?
I would like to find a used one. I don't think I need a brand new one, but I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open to utilizing it as like a rental, as a piece of rental equipment as well.
I guess if you did that, maybe the being new, it would have a warranty. That might come in handy if it was a rental, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, how do you, on your equipment, do you tend to buy new equipment or Do you try to find a good deal on a?
Um, I guess that's kind of a really broad statement. With regard to like generators and stuff like one-time purchases, like I usually get something used and then once it breaks, then I'll buy something new.
That makes sense.
So like I had a generator, it was it worked, right? But then just because I'm a small engine mechanic doesn't mean I want to work on stuff all day and need something reliable, of course. So I ended up upgrading my generator and that's it was probably a pretty good decision.
Is that what you run for your trailer?
Yeah, it runs most of the stuff. So my trailer has uh, a Milwaukee battery pack that operates the lights inside of it, and then the generator will run the blade sharpener, the air compressor, and I have like an auxiliary blade grinder if something's like really bad, it needs some heavy grinding. But other than that, that's really the extent of the power tools. I use all pneumatic air compressor powered tools. So the generator and the air compressor is basically the lifeblood of the trailer.
That's awesome.
And then for cleaning out carburetors and stuff, having air is always nice.
Do you have a little wash bay in there too for parts?
No, you really don't need it, honestly. I just use like some rags and I got some spray. Most things, if they need like a thorough like wash bay cleaning, it takes like 45 minutes for that system to run anyways. So it wouldn't really be efficient mobily.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and a new carburetor is pretty cheap usually, so it'd probably just be cheaper to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's pretty simple honestly. It's not too complex of a system.
Yeah, that's it's still really cool to have a your office everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's nice. It's the only trouble is keeping it clean, honestly, because like grass and oil kind of mix and get sticky on the floor sometimes. Especially like today was raining, so I was I was looking at the floor when I was done. I was like, oh man, like I gotta get a mop in here, clean this whole thing out because it's it's muddy. The lawnmowers are all dirty,
Yeah,
but that's the main thing is keeping it clean, really.
that's awesome. So as far as your customer base, how are you doing most of your customer acquisition?
So originally I was doing it through direct mail, and then I was incorporating yard signs as well. And now I'm just doing yard signs and then SEO basically.
Awesome.
So kind of like modifying the website using like some HTML type tags to make it rank higher in search results, really.
Are you doing a lot of that work yourself?
Yeah, I do it all. I have an IT degree, so I kind of picked it up during school. Well, not yet technically. um, like next, it should be finished by like Sunday or so.
Really?
Yeah, that's the goal. Because I'm going to Ole Miss next weekend. Actually, my sister, she's a freshman in college there, so we're gonna go see the LSU game, which is gonna be awesome.
That would be intense.
Tailgating down there is no joke. Like everybody, like this is not acceptable. I have to be more fancy than this. I got like a specific shirt I have to wear according to my sister, and it's like a whole thing that we're gonna be
Tradition.
doing. Yeah, big tradition down there, so it should be a blast.
Mississippi is great. I have a bunch of friends from Mississippi, and that's I've been in a short period of time, but that's one of the states that I really want to go spend some time in.
Yeah, Oxford is actually incredible for rentals, believe it or not.
Really?
I think it's one of the best places for rentals. In this football season, you'll cover your entire mortgage just in the football season.
Wow.
100%. It's crazy expensive. Like a hotel room for the weekend is like over $1,000.
Is this their biggest game like of the preseason?
The LSU game is going to be pretty big. I don't know if it's going to be the biggest game, but it's supposed to be one of them, yeah. But all of them are like this. All of the SEC games, at least, I guess. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
it's it's something else.
that's awesome. I didn't know that about Oxford, but that makes a lot of sense. And what's interesting is Utah has reciprocity with Mississippi for their real estate license. So once I finish my real estate license here, I'll have reciprocity for Mississippi. I just have to apply.
I never knew that. That's
I didn't either.
that's good to know though, man.
So I might have a real estate license in Mississippi.
Hey, well, maybe we could get talking about
Let's
something.
do it.
That's perfect. But yeah, hopefully by because we're gonna drive down there, so on the drive down and the drive home, I gotta finish an accounting class, and then once that's done, I'll have the degree and be done with my bachelor's.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it took me a few years to get mine. I worked through full time pretty much through my whole degree. So I did 12 out, roughly 12 hours a semester, and then did 3 to 6 hours every summer. And I still took a year or two off in between the middle of it just to make ends meet. But I ended up finishing it in 6 years and hopped in the oil field after that.
That's really good for working full time. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Texas State, so it is in between Austin and San Antonio.
Okay. What did you study?
I studied business management, and I had a minor in entrepreneurship.
Oh, right up your alley.
Right, yeah, fit right, perfect. They actually have one of the best entrepreneurship programs in the state of Texas, and it was awesome. Almost all of my professors were in the business industry in the private sector for a long period of time, and made good money and decided to teach when they retired. And so we had a lot of great help, um, especially on the entrepreneurship side.
Having people with actual industry experience, it speaks words when
It
teaching.
does. One of our favorite classes was we basically at the very beginning of the semester we got in a group, and the whole semester was about creating a feasibility plan on a business, and then at the very end you had to present your business. But every week we had a guest speaker come to the class, so one class was about business, and then the next class period was a guest speaker, and we had some awesome guest speakers. Carl Rove came and spoke at one of them, and it was awesome.
Who's he?
Karl Rove was big in the he's a in politics. He was big in the second Bush administration. And then he still comes on TV, but I'm not sure if he's active right this second. But um, yeah, he was big when that would be before 2008.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I'll have to check him out then. See what he's about. Well, hey Grady, we're starting to run out of time for today, but it was great having you on the podcast.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time.
We'll talk to you soon.